I'm a couple minutes early, but you know what? I don't mind. It's not like there's anybody in the stream chat anyway, so I'm playing for myself and I'm narrating this for myself, and that's fine. Welcome to Planet Zoo, folks, and welcome to a series that I'm calling Single Serving Zoos. It's kind of corny, I know, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take, in every one of these single serving zoos, I'm going to take a single animal and I'm going to build a habitat for it. Um, and I'm also going to add in shops and uh, snack bars and bathrooms and things like that. I'm going to decorate up the place. It's not just going to be the habitat. A lot of times when you see the people who work on Planet Zoo, they when they're online and they're working on Planet Zoo, they'll concentrate on the habitat. They won't do much about the surrounding decorations. They won't do much about the food unless they dedicate an episode for it. Well, each one of the single serving zoo sessions will be a complete zoo. It's just that it'll only have one kind of animal in it. Um, so let's get started, shall we? I'm looking forward to this. Basically, this is all going to be an exercise in creativity. I was talking to um, one of my friends. He's over at Ravenscar Gaming, and he does a series called Zoo Littles. And I was talking about the fact that they're an excellent exercise in creativity, and he had to admit that that's why he did it. That's why he did his own series. So, taking inspiration from that, I'm going to do a complete zoo, and it's going to be completely oriented around a single animal every time. And this time, it's going to be aardvarks. I figured might as well start at the top of the list. The aardvarks are cool. Aardvarks are popular. And as far as putting animals in the zoo, I have to admit that they are one of my favorites. Let's see. Link 1. Path supports curb on ground, railing on ground. Railing on, I do not want railing on ground, but I'll take railing on elevated. Thank you very much. Width 8 meters. There we go. Whoa, yes, I know I'm moving it kind of, you know what, should we turn on the angle snap? I'm going to turn on the angle snap. 4, 5. Now, well, I'm also going to reach in here and do this. Just because I like to, but there's a maximum to the amount I'm able to do that. Let's add another one, 6. So, now, I'm going to have everything decorated. There's not going to be any naked staff facilities or anything like that. But the honest truth is, if it's only one animal, it's not going to need many staff facilities unless, and it certainly won't need the big ones, he says, as he's about to put down one of the big ones. Of course, if I have an ulterior motive for putting down one of the big ones, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I do. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm building buildings, right? And I know that sounds redundant. What do you mean you're building buildings? Doesn't that, isn't that by definition? Well, yes and no. There are buildings, and then there are buildings, right? I mean, come on, you know it as well as I do. Okay, that's research. Uh-huh. How big is this? It's pretty big. All right. All right, there. Now I need, what do I need? What do I need? I need one of these, I think. Come on, buddy, up here. Wait, it's already a son of a gun. Hold on a second. I want to make it a two-story thing, but it's not cooperating. There. Now, okay. Do I have everything now? Staff room, quarantine, hospital. Break room. Research. I don't have a research room. Okay. Right. There. Now, I got to admit, I fell in love with the stained wood set from the aquatic DLC. So I'm definitely going to be using that again. Yeah, stained wood. Here we go. And we're just going to give it a nice shiny set of walls here, right? That's a little off. Hold on a second. There. Better. Better, better, better. Okay. Now let's see. I need windows. I need windows here. I need windows there. I need windows everywhere. Yay. Now this is only the ground floor yet. I haven't even started on the upper floor yet. Okay. And doors. Okay. Good start. Good start. Now, standing signs, no. And I need facility signs. Let's get rid of the stained wood tag so I can do this. Now, let's see. I need a break room indicator. I'm going to put it, well, my thought was that we could, oh, for crying out loud, really? Come on. You see it? It won't flip. The heck? Do I need to manipulate it? I apparently need to manipulate it. That's ridiculous. It's supposed to conform automatically, and yet it doesn't. Ah, geez. All right. It's the minor details, folks. They always get you in the end. offline to surface. That's what wasn't clicking. Here, hold on a second. Let's do this. Now that I've got it set, you see it automatically clicks in that way. But that's all right. That's all right. And of course, we haven't even started in on the animal yet. You may be noticing that if, those of you who are watching. Jurassic, hi, how you doing? How's your day going so far? Welcome aboard. I'm putting together what I'm calling a single serving zoo. This is going to be a single animal habitat zoo, very small, but I'm going to do the entire thing, all the facilities, the bathrooms, the shops, all that number. And this is basically it's an exercise in creativity. So, welcome aboard, man. Let me see. I want these all a uniform color. I really do. There we go. And then we'll get a... Where'd the hospital sign go? Hospital sign. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I've got something major planned for later, which is why I'm relaxing now. I'm making... my mother has requested that I don't know if I ever told you, I'm a retired chef. I may have mentioned it, I may not have mentioned it. But my mother every once in a while will come to me and go, I just had this amazing meal in this restaurant. Can you do it at home? And so she came to me. She had gone to Abuelo's and had something called pescado guerrero. And she's like, this was an amazing fish dish. It had scallops and shrimp, and it was just wonderful. And then, of course, she asked the magic question, can you do this at home? And I was like, of course I can do it at home. So tonight, because my mother asked, and she's special to me. She is my mom, after all, and she has always been supportive in everything I do, up to and including, by the way, this Twitch channel. So when she comes to me and asks for something special, I'm inclined to give it to her because, it's mom. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? Oh yeah, no, I've had this dish before, and it is amazing. It's got it uses to give you an idea. The shrimp is part of the flavoring, not part of the actual meal. So, of course, I'm only going to do it once because this was expensive. I mean, the scallops alone right now are running about $20 a pound. And, it's one of those, yes, I can do it for you now, Mom, but don't ever expect me to do it again. Because, I don't mind treating her, but sometimes, I wish that I had the camera setup necessary. Excuse me. I wish that I had the camera setup necessary to do food streaming, because I would absolutely stream me putting this together. How old's my mom? My mother is, let's see, 74, I think. She's either 74 or 70. Okay, yeah, she'll be 75 next year. She's 74. I'm sorry, I had to think of it. I actually forgot what year my mother was born. Can you believe that? How horrible of me. I really ought to be better at keeping track of when my mother was born. Peter, hi, how you doing? Welcome aboard. Just so you know, Pete, I am putting together a single serving zoo. This is going to be for the Aardvarks, I decided I might as well start in alphabetical order. This thing is not cooperating at all. Um, and but it's going to be a complete zoo. A lot of people when they do single biome or single animal zoos with this game, they won't bother with things like shops and back and bathrooms and administrative buildings. And so that's basically what I'm doing right now is I'm working on some of the background. um, so yeah, and this is like I said, this is relaxation before I have to go to work. Uh, Cooking the dish is not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be the prep work because I've got to get the fish prepped. I've got to slice a whole bunch of vegetables. I've got to peel and devein shrimp. Um, but it's all very good work though, and I do love it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. And I did it for a long time. It's weird. I was actually studying for another career entirely when I discovered that what I really wanted to do with my life was cook. I wasted college money, man. Um, I had spent like $45,000 on college prior to figuring out that I didn't want to work in a law office. I wanted to work in a kitchen. Um, well, uh, prior to me going to school, I was working as a believe it or not, I was working as a DJ in a strip club. Now, I got to tell you, this was not one of those dingy, skeeve ass, uh, uh, disease ridden, poor strip clubs. This is one of those gentlemen's clubs that had a $50 cover charge, and they had drug policies to keep the girls clean, and their security were off-duty police officers who knew how to handle crowds and things like that. It was a high for a strip club. It's a high-class strip club, and I was working. I was paying my way, earning pocket money as a disc jockey, um, and it was fun work. I got to know a lot of the girls, and the girls were fantastic. They were nice people. Um, they were all friendly, all supportive too. That was something I was surprised at how they'd ask me things like, so how's school going, how are you doing in school, how's that working, and it was like, yeah, that's I'm doing pretty good actually. um okay, for this one I want to turn off the railings on the elevated paths. Come on, get up there, you can do it. There we go. Because uh, and I want square corners. Where are my square corners? Line to grid. Where are my square corners? Oh, here it is. Um, and they'd ask me how I was and how my school was working, and it was really nice, you know. Um, but that's how I earned pocket money when I was going to school. DJ at the local radio station. Yeah, I met some DJs when I was doing this. This was in up in North Florida, and it was funny. I became friends with one of the local DJs because I called in one day. They were talking about a movie, this obscure movie, and they were getting it wrong. And I couldn't help myself. I called in and I was like, well, if you look at the works of the director, and I started talking about it. And the next thing I know, they were like, hey, do you want to do movie reviews for us? So I do part-time movie reviews. It was an awesome gig, it was fun. Um, I have no idea why that's not working, but you know what? That should be working. Why is that not working? There we go. One of the things I love about this game is you can never predict what is going to work and what won't, because um, if you're familiar at all with this game, you know that pathing, oh my lord, pathing can just be problematic sometimes. So we're going to cheat. Oh, come on, be straight. There we go. Now, um, so anyway, yeah, and that's how that's how I kept myself in food money while I was going to school. Um, and it was fun. I came away with some good friends, some of which I know, I have known since that day. And, and we're talking about, 35, 40 years ago. Oh, well, thank you very much. I have been told that I sometimes come across as the Bob Ross of Twitch gaming. Um, because I tell stories and I'm calm and you know, I talk like this when I'm gaming. Of course, when I'm dealing with a PvP shooter, all things are, it's all bets are off because I will curse up a storm and, you know, talk like a gamer, as it were. Okay, I'm gonna have to change this. How's that? That's a bad position for a post. Hold on a second. Path supports off. Um, but when I'm working on zoos, this is a very sedate game. It's a very calming game. Um, calling me Bob now. Yeah. Uh, and I don't mind because this is that kind. It's just that kind of game. It's the kind of game where you don't get excited because you're using your creativity. Ah, that's going to be a problem. Okay, buddy. And what was it? It was. Oh, really? Okay, that's odd. All right. Well, we shall see what we shall see. Why is that not working? Obstructed. How is it obstructed? How is that obstructed? Okay. Well, there's a way around everything. If what you're doing doesn't work, try something new. That is a rule in this game. No worries whatsoever. So, but yeah, I like talking, and while I'm doing this, of course, I will admit that there are times where I will get so focused on what it is that I'm doing, whatever it is that I'm doing. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'll be like putting in this bush, and I'll be like, oh, it's not going, it's not going, it's not going. And suddenly I find, I've had people say, you whispered during this part. You were like continually whispering. What's up with that? And I'm like, oh, I was concentrating. Sorry about that. I mean, what you gonna do? It's just a bad habit. Um, I sometimes, if I'm really concentrating on what I'm doing, I sometimes forget that I'm actually live. I'm actually live streaming with an audience. Oh yeah, the paths have a very tricky hitbox. Um, I will forget that I am that I'm talking to a live audience when I'm streaming this sometimes, and suddenly I'll be like, I'll go silent, and it's like that's not a good thing. When you're streaming on Twitch, being silent is not a good thing. It just isn't. But we all have our bad habits, right? Okay. Just to make this even, I'm going to put in these walls too. Yeah, you need to move. You need to go here. All right. Okay, yeah. Whoops. So, but that's, yeah, so that's how I decided to spend the weekend. Since I knew I was going to be working in the kitchen and doing some pretty intense cooking later, I figured what I would do is I just relax, and this game relaxes me. It really does. It's not like it's almost like it's not work. It's one of those um, it's one of those cases where I'm having so much fun that, come on. Okay, You guys are seeing what I'm. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Come here. Um, I'm having so much fun doing the build that it no longer feels like work to me. Not that not that playing a game is ever work, but you get. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. You know? Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, there are some games I cannot play and then feel relaxed about. Um, I just can't. Um, I have the same competitive streak as everybody else, I suppose. But no, that's not what I want to do. Not there. But yeah. Oh yeah. Oh God, yes. I can imagine how bad it is if you work in healthcare. Um, but I have the same competitive streak as everybody else, and unfortunately, what that means is that when I'm playing a competitive game, my blood gets up and I get going, and I'm ready to beat the living crap out of somebody, and that's hardly calming. That's not exactly conducive to being calm. So when I want to be calm, when I want to be um, a steady, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. You guys know what I mean? When you're smooth, smooth like glass. Um, I had a chef I worked with once who said that the best chefs are calm like a swan, because when you see them, everything's cool. They're not panicking. Nothing wrong with anybody. It's all good. Except in their head, they are freaking out. And the reason they're freaking out, are you going to give me trouble? Are you going to give me trouble here? For crying out loud. The reason they're freaking out is because in their head, they are planning for everything. They're making sure that, they've got 100 different things they need to keep track of. And everything that they need to keep track of has to go perfectly right. And if it doesn't go perfectly right, a meal could be ruined. And of course, people are paying for that food, and you want it to be perfect, and you want it to be, you want it to all come out perfect, all at the same time, hot, tasty, hits the table simultaneously. And believe me, as an experienced, if now retired restaurant chef, there is nothing I can think of in the cooking world harder than making sure that your customers' meals uh, hit bingo. That they just, at the same time, everybody's happy, no problems, and it's all good. Because there's 1,001 things that can go wrong. Now, this is not as important a skill as, say, uh, working in the healthcare community. I would never, um, I would never ever compare the difficulty I face as a chef to the difficulty that someone working in healthcare uh, faces. I would never do that. That would be stupid and arrogant of me. But especially because I was a Disney chef. I was a chef for Walt Disney World, and boy, howdy. Okay, why is that not working? When you get a crowd of, 9,000 or so people, yeah, Disney in Orlando, yeah. Um, in fact, I was at the Grand Floridian, and we'd regularly get crowds that were upwards toward 9,000 people in a single day. Now, 9,000 people, if faced by, say, your average TGI Fridays, 9,000 people would put them out of business. 9,000 people in a day, yeah, they'd be destroyed. They'd be out of food. Their staff would be run ragged. It would just be a disaster for your for your average TGI Fridays. But at Disney, uh, hey, it's entirely possible. I was there in 2010. If you were there in 2010, it's entirely possible that and you ate at the Grand Floridian. Um, it's entirely possible I cooked your meal, or at least I oversaw the cooking of your meal because I had people working for me. So it is entirely possible. But yes, you and I were there together, or at least at the same time. Yeah, who knows? Um, but the thing about about restaurants and crowds is that generally they don't. Your average workaday restaurant um, will seat 300 or 400 people, maybe six at a maximum on an extremely busy day. Your average street restaurant will sit 600 people, and a 600 people day will have been a bear. It will have worked them ragged. 1 second, guys, I'm getting a drink of water. Everybody at the end of that day is going to be tired. They're going to be frustrated. The restaurant manager will be working into the night trying to get emergency supply shipments because Lord knows that he's likely out of food at that point. And and so, you know, but at Disney, 600 people, we see 600 people in an hour. My busiest day by myself, I say by myself because I was the sole cook on duty at the time. My busiest day was when I took over for the uh, the sandwich counter. Well, I had to relieve the lady. Her name was Carmen. She was an excellent chef, and what she did was she made artisan sandwiches to order. If you walked up and said, "I want this kind of bread, this kind of meat, this kind of cheese, these condiments," if we had it, we would make it for you, and she would make it from scratch to order, and she was very talented at it. And you don't think about, sandwiches are not that complicated. You guys know how to make sandwiches, right? You can slap some mayonnaise on some bread and toss a couple of pieces of ham in there. You know how to make a sandwich, except nah, you've never seen sandwiches like she could make. She was making amazing sandwiches. Anyway, she of course had to take a break as people do when they're working. So I was on, and the Grand Floridian has a convention hall in addition to being a hotel, and one of the conventions let out, and uh, I suddenly had 800 people on my sandwich line. And like I said, normally for a normal Disney restaurant, 800 people is not that bad. But for a one-man operation, 800 people is a disaster, and it hurt. Um, but I called in cooks from other restaurants, and I got some of my front of the house people, the people um, whose jobs it was to clean. I had them working, and I just generally did my job because I'm good at it, and it was a fun time despite being so challenging. And I think that's why I enjoyed being a chef, because it was challenging. Does that make any sense at all? I hope it does. Um, it was fun because it was difficult, and there you get that old line. I can't remember what it was from, some movie. Um, and the guy says, of course it's difficult. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Um, implying that because it's difficult and because you are capable of handling the difficulty, then there's something special about you for being able to handle it. And that's how, a lot of people talk about chefs, and, they think we're all these refined, high class people, but the truth is, chefs are some of the most earthy. Uh, they can be vulgar, um, but we have fun. Nobody has fun like a chef has fun, especially when they're working the kitchen, because we're there because we love the job. That's why we're there. That's why we're there. We're there because we love the job. We would not be there if we didn't. And I'm gonna get this right. Okay, hold on. Gonna get this right. And if we didn't love the job, we wouldn't be there. That's So we joke a lot and we rag on each other. That's another thing. I've heard some people talk about how toxic the kitchen work environment is. And I have to say that yes, there is an element of the boys club to it. The thing is, the women who are cooks and who have been cooks for a long time are just as foul-mouthed and just as raunchy. And there's a lady I know, a female chef, and when she first heard about all these complaints about how toxic the kitchen working environment was, her response was, well, I'm not going to repeat it, but let's just say it was profane. And it wasn't profane directed at the guys who work the kitchen who make it such a boys club. It was a profanity directed at, and these are her words now, her words. I did not say this. She said this, at the little fainting Marys who can't handle, who are not tough enough to handle a kitchen. She had no respect for those women at all. Now, me, I don't want anybody to be forced into working conditions that they feel uncomfortable for. That's just my base morality. I'm a nice guy. I want everybody to be happy and satisfied with their life. I really mean that. But Jennifer was, she was a hardcore chef. She believed in, you know, hard work, hard life, hard drinking, hard partying, things like that. Um, Maybe a little lower. And honestly, she felt that if you couldn't hack it in a kitchen, and she had no respect for you, and that included men and women, anybody. She didn't care. Um, but she just thought the entire complaint was a little ridiculous because, and I get a little bit of that. I understand a little bit of why she would say that. It's sort of like it's sort of like when soldiers object to having military standards reduced. It's like, look, if you can't hack it, don't try it. And I get that. But it is an entirely different mind state being a chef. It really is. Holy moly, look at that. You see that? Okay, well, I guess what we've got to do now is do a little okay. Do a little correction here. Could you just not could you just snap into place? That would just be nice. Please snap. All right. There. Oh, it is a tough job. To give you an idea of how tough that job is, the I went to cooking school, and we had, how many people did we have? We had, I want to say we had something like 150 people on the first day of class. Opening day of class, when everybody filed in, we had 150 people in class. That was how much we started with. We graduated 11 people, and the school was set up in such a way that you encountered as much stress as they could give you, because the restaurant environment was not going to be forgiving. They didn't want you to fail, but at the same time, if you could not hack the stress, they wanted to find out in school. Oh, for crying out loud! They wanted to find out if you couldn't hack it in school, as opposed to you wasting your money on a degree only to find out that you couldn't do the job in a restaurant. Um, and it's not just restaurants. I mean, I know I'm talking about restaurants because that's where I work, but a catering job can be just as difficult. You know, 70 entrees, and you need it all on time for the wedding party, and that's just as tough, especially because catering generally is a 1 or 2 man proposition, whereas at Disney I had a staff of about 3,000 people. Um, so what was I about to do? What was I about to do? I was about to do something, and I'm sure that it was absolutely profound, and now I can't remember for the life of me. Anyway, let me back this off and take a look. All right. Yeah. Um, this is all going to be my administration building. What I want to do in here, let me get to where you can see it. What I want to do in this space here, let me see, can I get down in here? Oh, it's going to be stubborn. Is I want to put a little miniature garden in here. I'm going to put some plants and trees and such, maybe a water feature. The rest of it is all going to be, as you can see, staff offices and such. I'm going to get another drink of water. But let's see, what time is it now? 2:39. Wow, I've been at this for 40 minutes already. How about that? Now I can't remember what I was about to say. I hate when I do that. When I know, when I'm sitting there going, I was about to say something, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh well. But yeah, no, it was an amazing job, and I was glad to do it, and I had a lot of fun, met a lot of really nice people, and I was inspired. I always loved to cook, always, my entire life, and I lay that at the feet of my grandmother, um, a true Southern lady. I know you've no doubt heard of the stereotype of the Southern lady, but my grandmother was a true Southern lady. She um, she never had a harsh word or an unkind thing to say about anybody. Um, she was always very supportive and very loving, and she encouraged me and her other grandchildren to chase our dreams and to do what we wanted to do, regardless of what it was that we wanted to do. And she inspired me to become a chef. And you see, she herself was um, was a chef. She was a cook, self-taught. She was never formally trained, but she ran her own restaurant. and she did it well, and she cooked like a god. I mean, she was just so talented in the kitchen. She really was. And one of my fondest memories, and this was a memory of when I was, oh, I think I was maybe 6. My father was in Southeast Asia, fighting the war there. And my mother was working to support the family by herself, me and my younger brother, Aaron. Um, and of course, dad was off with the army. And we were living with my grandparents because, to save money, we'd live with my grandparents. And these are my dad's folks. Um, and one day, mom came home and she had a migraine. It had been a tough day, and she was tired. And I was naturally being my 6-year-old. Whoops, hello, I just erased exactly what I needed to do. I was being my 6-year-old self and wanted attention because kids do that when they're 6, right? And so Granny, I called her Granny. Granny took me into the kitchen where she was getting ready to cook dinner, and she picked me up and put me uh, on the counter next to the stove. Told me to be careful because the stove got hot and she didn't want me burned. And then she proceeded to teach me, for as much as you can teach a 6-year-old, to make a fish gumbo. And she told me exactly what was going in, and she told me when it was going in, and she told me why things were going in when they went in, and she basically sparked my interest in cooking. And I honestly believe that if she hadn't done that, I never would be a chef. I never would have been a chef, and my life would have been unfulfilled. Um, and I know that sounds, you know, so corny, but I believe it. I honestly believe it. That um, I believe that she's the reason I ended up being a chef because of that day. And you know, I'm sorry. It's an emotional thing. She died about 10 years ago, and I miss her greatly. I mean, to this day, I miss her. And but the very last Thanksgiving before she died, I was hosting one of my cousins from up in New York. Uh, he was actually one of my mother's cousins, but we don't make that kind of distinction in my family. Cousins are cousins, right? So anyway, David's down, and David wants to help me do Thanksgiving, and I don't mind the help because I'm doing Thanksgiving by myself. Um, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. And if it sounds like I'm tearing up a little, I got to tell you, guilty is fucking charged. Excuse the profanity. I miss her every day. Um, so Thanksgiving, my cousin David is down from New York. He had been hearing everybody in the family talked about my Thanksgivings. Um, okay, I need to back up, give you some background. My father is a wonderful man. He's a great man. I don't, I'm saying that up front so you understand where he's coming from. He wants nothing but the best for his children. And um, as such, when I told him that I was going to that I wasn't going to finish law school, and I wasn't going to complete that, and I was going to go into cooking, he kind of went, what? And he asked me, he said, look, this is a difficult field and it's hard to succeed in. And are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you sure you're capable of it? So I kind of took that as a challenge. And my first year after cooking school, I invited the entire family to my house for Thanksgiving. And when I say my entire family, I've got a huge family. Okay. To give you an idea, my father has 17 first cousins. 17 first cousins. And, um, so I think we had 28 people, 29. Not everybody could come, but enough of them could come that, it was a crowd. Like I said, it was either 28 or 29. Um, Let me back this up. So, and the entire family came in, and, my mom and dad were like, "Are you going to need any help?" And I said, "Well, I've got some help." And I did. My sister in law, Lauren, um, my brother Nathan's wife, helped me out by basically backstopping all the baking. We did a lot of baking. We made a lot of cakes and pies and such as that, and she handled most of that. I handled everything else. And what I handled was 2 turkeys and a ham, 4 different kinds of gravy, 6 vegetable dishes, 2 loaves of bread. That was the only baking I did. I did 3 different kinds of homemade cranberry sauce, and I did about 11 pies. And after it, my father said, "Okay, I guess you can handle it." And he was joking, of course, but it meant a lot for him to say that to me. I was really, it was really something that I took to heart, and I was encouraged by. So anyway, I would do every once in a while. I would do big Thanksgivings for the family. Anybody who wants to come to my place, we're going to have a Thanksgiving. And my cousin David, like I said, he had heard about these Thanksgivings, so he had come all the way down from New York State to finally enjoy one of my Thanksgivings. And my grandmother, my granny, she was very sick. She was fighting cancer at that time, and we were fairly sure that it was not a matter of will she die. It was a matter of when is she going to die, and this would be her last um, family gathering. And and so David is helping me prep, and I've got him slicing vegetables and other basic kitchen drudge work that you don't require a lot of cooking skill at to do, because I'll be brutally honest, David can't cook to save his life. David is one of those poor unfortunate people that if you asked him to boil water, he'd find a way to set it on fire. The thing is, David is a musician. He's a music teacher, not just a musician. Although he's a brilliant keyboard player. My God, if I wish I could. I wish I knew where to find a recording just so I could show it off. I would show it off right now, but I'm not sure if he's got anything on the web that I could show off his talents with. But he's a brilliant keyboard player, and he teaches music. Um,